varies a bit. Dogs interpret the world through their noses. The scent goes in their noses and it goes back and forth. And if you see a dog, he will actually hold the scent in the nose. It doesn't work like our noses at all. The scent actually goes in the nose. The dogs hold it in there and then they move it back and forth through the scent receptors in their nose to determine what that scent is and to figure it out. So it doesn't just in and out like us. When they sniff, they have that smell locked in there, and they have time to interpret that. It's really quite interesting. And it's interesting also when you think about nose prints of a dog are all different. They're all individual, just like fingerprints are. And what are dogs really born to do? They're born to sniff. They're not born to run, they're born to sniff. The dog's sense of hearing. This is highly developed in dogs and it's much more acute than it is in people. Dogs can also have the ability to move their ears around in different directions to try to capture the sound. They also have a different range in sounds that they hear. They are marked here 16 to 20,000 hertz for the people and 70 to 100,000 hertz range for the dogs. This means that a dog can hear much higher pitch sounds than we do. The dog whistle, for example, is a whistle that when blown people can't hear it, but dogs come running. So yeah, we want to be aware of that. Little note here, a wolf can hear a howl up to 4 miles away. That's pretty far away when you think about it. And also I find it quite interesting. A lot of times, dogs seem to be afraid of vacuum cleaners. And we think it's just, they're big, clumsy, scary things. But what actually it can be is that the vacuum produces a high frequency sound that we don't hear it the same as the dog does. So to the dog they hear this really high pitch, and often it's the sound of the vacuum cleaner, not the vacuum cleaner itself, that scares them, or the sound of the vacuum cleaner associated with the vacuum cleaner. Now they're scared of the whole vacuum cleaner. So that could be one of the reasons why the dog is scared of the vacuum cleaner. So that was just a little bit on the dog senses. I love these pictures here of the dogs exploring with their senses, with their sight, with their noses, touch, taste. It's really nice to see dogs be able to do that. And we have to think about the dog's senses and what they perceive and how we can help them to explore with all their senses. Like I said, smelling is really, really big. So we need to take them to different places that they can smell. Try to think of some smelly spots. It could be as simple as a gas station, any kind of a store, a dump, anything with a lot of interesting smells around, and let your dog explore it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's really good mental stimulation for the dog. Which leads us right into our next slide on mental stimulation. And remember, mental stimulation is more important than physical exercise. Just think about this for a minute. If you were locked in a room with, let's say all you had was the basic necessities of life, food, water, shelter, bathroom needs, for 2 weeks, and you had a choice of either mental stimulation, could be, let's say you were offered a dozen books or TV, or you were offered a treadmill. What would make your 2 weeks more enjoyable, the mental stimulation or the physical exercise? I think we'd all probably say the mental stimulation. Without the mental stimulation, being locked in a room like that would be pretty much torture. It's the same thing for your dog. When people say things like, my dog needs to run an hour a day to get the energy out of him, what we're really saying is, my dog needs to run an hour a day because he's so stressed that when he's that tired, he behaves better. So let's get to the root of the problem. What's causing the stress? What are the behavioral issues? How can we increase mental stimulation to work on these issues? That's really, really important. Dogs need to get out and walk. Yes, because again, walking is mental stimulation. They get to see new things, especially if you do it right. Especially like if you walk them in different places with lots of smells and let them explore. When I when I teach people about this, I like to mention that you should also teach them a command, which means that they are now able to pull you around and sniff and have a good old time. There's a difference between walking on the sidewalk for exercise than sniffing and enjoying and doing some nose work. They're both equally important, but it's just that you should always be in charge and you should always control that, and it should always be when you tell them, okay, now's our time, let's go sniff. The command I use is go sniff, but you can pick anything you like that's different from anything else that you use for another command, obviously. So pick something new. So what you're going to do, you go off for your walk, you're getting some nice exercise, then you find a nice area with lots of smells, and you say, okay, go sniff. Let them spend some time just pulling you around and sniffing and enjoying and taking all that in. That's so important. So mental stimulation can also be things like nose work. You can do this in your yard and in your home. Why not set a goal of doing this at least 1 to 2 times per week for your dog? It's fun for you, it's relaxing, it's a good way to relieve your own stress. Get some great treats that you only use for, let's say, your nose work. And the dog knows when this comes out, oh boy, we're going to have some fun today. So in the house, you can make it really, really easy when you first start, because dogs need to develop their sense of smell, because really we've kind of been locking them up and not letting them use it for so long that we have to kind of teach them and get them back into that. So we start really slow, putting treats around. They basically see us drop a treat, they get it, oh, what a good boy, that was great, and make it a little bit harder till eventually you're actually hiding things and under things, you know, under cups, under pots, under chairs, in corners, on shelves, all kinds of different things. Use your imagination. Make it as hard as your dog will allow for, and just keep working on that. You can even hide yourself. Hide yourself, call the dog. When he finds you, he gets a nice treat, the same treat. So, you know, once or twice a week, this would be awesome. In and around your yard, it's the same thing. Throw some old things around, or hide some, you know, on top of the lawn chair, by the barbecue, by the stairs, by the tree, by this, by that, and get them to work and around and find all these treats. This is really, really good for them. It's going to relieve stress. You know, like I said, if your dog has any behavior issues at all, start with mental stimulation. Start with doing this at least once or twice a week. Walk them in different areas. Let them have their sniff time. Teach them new things to do. Find them a job to do. And, you know, really, this is so true. For life, for dogs, life is an adventure. Let's give them that adventure. Enrichment areas. Here you're actually in the first picture going to see a picture of an enrichment area that a bunch of trainers set up while I was in conference. And in the picture you see Turid Rugus. She's a Norwegian dog trainer. She's an awesome lady, knows dogs inside and out. She's got a fantastic video out on calming signals. In fact, she is the one that coined the term calming signals. We can all learn a lot from this lady. You can go to her website. She's got some great information there. She's got some great books and DVDs you might be interested in. And again, her name is Turid Rugus. And so what she told us to do here, she said, okay, we happened to be in a place, by the way, that had a dog shelter downstairs. So we had the opportunity to bring dogs up, just random dogs. They could have been in the shelter for a day, for a month, different breeds of dogs. And we could just say, okay, bring up another shelter dog. And we could do different things with them. Enrichment areas. We could teach them different things. We could teach them to heel on a lead. We could do all kinds of things with dogs that didn't know anything. So it was very unique, because usually when you go to conferences, you know, trainers bring their own dogs and they're obviously very well trained. This was different. These were not trainers' dogs. These were shelter dogs, which I thought was really an amazing thing to be able to be part of. So going back to the picture, what she told us to do, she said, okay, everybody in the room right now, you've got 10 minutes, go build an enrichment area. We're going to bring some dogs up and we're going to show how this works. She didn't give us really any further instructions than that. She said you can go to your cars. For those that were there, you could go to your car, anything you've got, your laptop case, anything at all. So everybody just dug around and found some stuff. And we came up with a pretty good enrichment area. And then what she did was she sprinkled a few treats around, and then she would bring up a random dog. This dog here, I think you see in the picture, is a Pit Bull Lab mix puppy. And what we did was the person that brought up the dog had to bring the dog on a very loose lead. The leash was not allowed to go tight at all. The dog was totally supposed to go wherever the dog wanted to go. And we did this experiment with 4 different shelter dogs. And what each dog did was went straight to the enrichment area. They didn't care about all of us sitting there. They didn't care about getting attention and pets and things like that from people. What they were interested in was all the terrific smells. And then we took note of what type of things they were more interested in as opposed to other type of things. And what we found was, of course, the smelliest item, which happened to be somebody's sneaker. The dog loved that. There was also an old garbage can there. That's another thing the dog loved. So for the dog, finding treats and then smelling around these smelly items that we find is just a great activity. And a dog can spend 10, 15, 20 minutes doing that and just this is his highlight of the day. So you see, it's not expensive. It's not difficult. Any one of us can do it at any time, inside the house or outside the house. You can go to places like your Salvation Armies and thrift stores and things like that. Those things have a lot of smell in them. Pick up things at yard sales, old garbage cans, old shoes. And we said, oh, old shoes. How could we ever give our dog an old shoe to play with when we clearly don't want them chewing our good shoes? And her reply to that was, dogs are not stupid. They know you gave them that shoe. They know they're not supposed to chew your shoes. If they do make a mistake, clearly teach them, take them back to the one they can have, and redirect them away from the one they can't have. But she really thinks that dogs are not stupid and they will understand these things. And she thinks that nose work is one of the best things we can do for our dogs. People are just not doing it enough. A dog is sniffing around a garbage can. He gets into the garbage. He knocks it over. People get all upset. Again, there's the dog-human conflict. For the dog, he's got a natural instinct to him to want to scavenge and want to use his nose. So he goes and he does that, and then the poor dog gets in trouble. It's kind of sad. And I know we don't want our dogs in garbage cans. That's not safe for them and it's not fun for us. So we need to use garbage cans that have a strong lid that the dog can't get into. That's very important. But let's just not say, okay, now I've got a strong lid, you can't get into it, so your, sniffing and rooting days are over. Let's set them up with things they can get into. You see what I mean? Let's give them a place. Let's show them where and how they can use all their natural drives that they have in them. Let's get the drives out of them in a healthy way so they don't have to go scrounging for an unhealthy or what we consider, an unhealthy way for them to do things. So let's set them up for success by giving them what they naturally need. That's the natural behavior of dogs. But it's up to us to give it to them, not let them find it and then get in trouble and we get upset. Let's give it to them. Here's even some more ideas for you. Box searches. Now look at the picture. The person's using a closed-in tennis court. What a great idea. Instead of taking them to a tennis court and say, run, which is only going to stress your dog out and you're going to bring home a stressed dog. Yeah, he's a little bit tired now, but he's also stressed. Why don't we take him to a tennis court and do an enrichment area? What a cool idea. A few old boxes in the back of your trunk, some treats, and off you go. And this dog is going to have a blast. Hide and seek, I mentioned that earlier on the previous slide. Have your kids hide with a nice treat. Call them one at a time. The dog goes to each person in the family and finds the person, gets a treat. This is a great game for dogs. Dogs love this. Which cup has the treat? Like the shell game. This is another great one for dogs. And again, finding treats in the yard, finding treats in the home. And then you can even work at some more advanced nose work. You can actually go online. The internet is a great source for information like this. Some of the ideas are things like pairing up an odor like peppermint or spearmint or something like that with the treat, and then getting them to hunt for the odor and then reward the treat. So all you have to do, instead of hiding all these boxes and things, is you can actually just put scent around. When they find the right scent and they've gotten the right spot, they get the treat. You know, there's a lot of things you can do. There's no end to it. You can take this as far as you want to go. There's actually courses you can attend for nose work. Signing your dog up for a nose work course, great idea, awesome. I love to see stuff like that. Getting them out is also socializing them. They're getting their mental stimulation, and you know, you're reducing that stress in their lives. It's all amazing stuff. Making a digging pit. Well, I mean, you know, this is pretty simple to do. You can just make a sandbox, fill it up, bury some toys and some bones, take your dog to it and say, go dig, and let them have a blast. They'll soon learn that's the best area in the yard to dig, because that's where they find stuff. The rest of the yard is quite boring, actually, full of plants and vegetables, and in here we actually get good stuff like toys and bones and treats, and the dogs will actually have a blast. They know they're allowed to dig there. They dig, and sometimes they just want to dig and lay in the cool sand. You know, sometimes they want to bury stuff. Sometimes they're just hunting around and finding stuff. It all depends on what they feel like doing that day. And that's the thing about giving dogs a little more control in their own life. Not forcing them, okay, now you're going to catch this ball, and then I'm going to rip it out of your mouth, and you're going to catch it again. Isn't that going to be fun? You know, maybe not. But giving them more choices, giving them more mental stimulation, that's what this course is really all about. I hope we've succeeded in, you know, giving you some good ideas. And I also hope we succeeded in helping you to recognize stress in your dog, how to read it, knowing the difference between a calming signal and a stress sign, you know, fearful dogs, how to work with them. All these things, you know, the dog senses, everything we've gone through. If you think about it, you know, I hope that there's some good points in there for you and your dog to use, and I hope you're going to have some happy times, finding lots of tasty treats and lots of fun, and enjoying the sunsets together. I want to thank you all for taking the time to take this course and for having the interest in improving your dog's life. And if you have any questions, you can contact me, Deb Levasseur, at deblevasseur@rogers.com.